Here's what you missed on Phathead and Candy in the morning. Weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. on My Country 96.1.
My Country 96.1, Phathead, Candy Roth, and no candy this week, of course. Next week, we reconvene and get everything out on the table. National Day today, there's only one. It's National Sugar Cookie Day. And if you're only going to have one National Day today, then you know what? That's not a bad one to have. But by the way, I have to go back to yesterday. We didn't talk about the national days as we do every day. Probably the first time I've missed it in months. Yesterday was a very special one. I hope my father's listening. National Chocolate with Almonds Day. Now, this is a big thing. If you're a fan of the show, you know Candy discusses this. She thinks it's the cutest thing ever. When my parents come over, obviously not during pandemic times, but in normal situations, my father always brings a Hershey bar with almonds. He eats half, and then he leaves the other half for me. And even when they would come over and, let's say, babysit the kids back in the day, I would come home. They'd leave as soon as we get home, right? It'd be late at night. But, as soon as they leave, I would walk into the kitchen. I'd find a half of a Hershey bar with almonds. It's our little thing. So yesterday was National Chocolate with Almonds Day. So big shout out to my father on that one. I love our tradition on that. Well done. Couple of things going on here. Let's discuss coronavirus. Let's discuss the schools. Governor Cuomo, excuse me, I almost took a sip of coffee when I shouldn't have. Almost choked there. Governor Cuomo stated yesterday that as schools and districts present their plans for reopening and reimagining of what schools would look like in September, everything's going to be taken into consideration, the statistics about what's going on in the country, and then a decision on schools will be made the first week of August. Now, this kind of took me by surprise. Now, I know you have to make a decision at some point. I thought that's a little early. He said sometime between August 1st and August 7th, a decision will be made. Obviously, you want to give schools a month to prepare. But I think it also leaves the door open in case coronavirus cases rise or things get bad or something else pops up, that they can basically say, okay, schools, we're going to try to open, go do your procedures that you presented to us. And then, let's say they do that first week of August. And then by the third or fourth week, if something comes down the pike that's not good, they can say, oh, we have to, we're going to do the at-home distance learning. It didn't go as we thought it would. So going to be interesting. Again, this is just, we're talking. I'm just throwing this out there, my own thoughts on this, right? And by the way, when we talk about schools, I have 3 children. Trust me, I am going back and forth on this. I am 50-50. I, in every way, want my children to get out and socialize and to have the ability to learn in person and to be around other kids and continue their growth, especially my elementary school kids. My middle school child, I'm not as concerned. She's pretty adjusted. She likes being home, and she's doing great. And but it's more the elementary school kids that they need that socialization. But then there's the other part of me that I'm fearful. Listen, you have a lot of and imagine the teachers who are fearful of the virus, who